All right, Mafatu has killed the wild pig, and now he's roasting it, getting ready to eat. Mafatu's mouth fairly watered in anticipation, but even as he settled back to await the feast, his hands were busy. The sun gleamed brightly on the curving tusks that already he was making into a necklace. They formed almost a complete circle and were as white as bleached coral. Ah, how men's tongues would chatter when they saw this fine necklace. Even grandfathers had been no finer. A strange picture on that lowly beach under the palms, a pig roasting on a fire, a boy, lean and brown and whip strong, making a boar's tooth necklace, a prancing yellow dog, a calm, wide-winged albatross pecking at a coconut. Mafatu slipped the necklace about his throat, and he could fairly feel its magic charging him with strength. He pulled the oven stones away from the umu, and there lay the pig, golden, glowing, done to a turn. Rich juices ran in little rivulets down its sides. As Mafatu ate, one thought alone filled his mind, overshadowing even his enjoyment of this rare feast. Soon now he would be ready. He had killed the male, the shark, the pua, the pig. His canoe would soon be completed, and then he would return to Hikaru. At last the canoe was finished. Mafatu lashed the tough Pura outrigger into place with hands that trembled. The woven sail was complete and ready, the rigging strong as wire. There, it was all over. The boy could hardly wait to get his craft into the water. Placing logs under the curving stem, he gave a shove and a push. The canoe stirred, moved forward, quick with life. Another shove, and the craft slid into the lagoon, and there it floated lightly, easily as a gull poised for flight. Mafatu stood back and stared at it with shining eyes. He could hardly believe that all these weeks of labor were at an end. Suddenly he was quiet. With lifted head, he offered up the prayer with which all ships were launched at Hikaru. Tereo, mighty one, my thanks to you in this task completed. Guide it on your back to safe harbor, Tereo. The boy leaped into the stern, picked up the paddle, and ran up the sail. Yuri sprang into the bow, yelping for very joy. Kiwi sailed far overhead on widespread wings. The breeze caught the sail, swelled it to a golden curve. The outrigger leaned at a sharp angle and sped ahead toward the distant reef. Spray flew back from the prow, and Mafatu's heart beat high. He let out the sheet, wrapped the sinnet rope about his foot, and gripped the steering paddle with both hands. He was filled with pride in his canoe. Never had he been as happy as in this moment. Out toward the black reef, closer and closer the canoe skimmed on a wide arc of speed. It was late afternoon, and the sun was setting in a blaze of glory, but the boy was reluctant to turn back. He knew that he should have climbed to the lookout that morning. This was the first day he had neglected that duty. But the temptation to complete his canoe had been too great. Tomorrow at daybreak, he would climb the plateau for the last time, and then Hikaru. As the little craft skimmed out toward the barrier reef, the thunder of the surf increased in volume to an overwhelming sound. Waves, born far south in the Antarctic ice fields, the home of all waves, broke their backs upon this coral rampart. Gathering far out, they charged the reef. Seahorses with flinging manes of foam. The surf shot skyward, and above its mist, seagulls swooped and darted. The reef thunder no longer filled Mafatu with unease. He had lived too close to it these past weeks. Out here, half a mile from shore, detached from all security of the land, he had come to believe that at last he had established a truce with Moana the sea god. His skill against the ocean's might. The boy skirted along the edge of the reef, lowered his sail, and dropped overboard the lump of coral which served as anchor. Then he took out his fish line and baited the hook with a piece of crab meat. He wanted to enjoy to the full this new sensation of confidence in himself, this freedom from the sea's threat. He looked back at the land fondly, but without longing. The high peak, purple in the waning light, stood somber against the sky. The valleys were shadowed with mystery. All these weeks he had lived close to this island and been grateful for its bounty. But he had been born on an atoll, a low island, and all his life had been spent in the spaciousness of open sea and wind-swept palms. There was something gloomy and oppressive in this high island. The reef, this was a part of his heritage. The sea at last was as much his element as the land. The realization flooded through him in a warm tide of content. He lowered his fish line, fastened it to the mid-thwart, and looked deep down into the clear water. He saw a scarlet rock cod materialize, hang in the shadow of the canoe, motionless save for the slight movement of its gills. With a sudden flip of the tail, it vanished. That's it for tonight. Sleep well. Remember, Grandma loves you.